right, welcome to Your Time, Your Money, the show where your time is just as valuable as your money. For those listeners and subscribers who've been with us for a while, you'll notice that I have a new partner today, Lauren Geraldsen. She's the newest member of Iron Tree Financial. Welcome.
Hey, thanks, Mark.
First
Happy
time
to be
on
here.
our podcast.
Yeah, here we are.
Excited to have you. And what better topic than women in investing?
Yes,
I
it is.
technically shouldn't be here for that, but
you get the in investing part.
Yes, and we do compare women, female and male stats and stuff like that. So it's good that we have both represented here today.
Exactly. Let's get both sides.
All right. Well, for our listeners, this is a very, I think, important topic, because if you look at the demographics of investing, women are set to inherit the largest net worth of any generation over the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are they going to do with it?
Yeah, and it beckons back to when my parents were investing, and I noticed that the advisor that came in, when they asked questions, or when my mother asked questions, he directed the answers at my father.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like she was like not as important in the explanation of investing and education of investing. And, not that that's always happens. And I think it happens less than it did 20 years ago.
We're improving.
But it still is an issue because, historically women have been stay at home. They have been, valuable to the household to allow, the man to go out and work a full-time job and pursue career and stuff like that. But it also has created a lot of problems on the educational end, and it's created a lot of problems on the motivation end too for women to kind of grasp the reins of finance. And we're going to share some stuff today with our listeners that I think is pretty eye-opening, but most importantly to encourage women to take the reins.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's a great point, and that's something that specifically I think is important with women. You go and you meet with someone that maybe your husband had been meeting with, or your parents, right? And they might not look at you as the person that you are, and you're the one now with the reins, and how are we going to handle this? So it's really important. Yeah,
and the one word I want to, at least emphasize the most today is encourage.
Yep. Because
with any demographic, whether it's a young person, old person, woman, male, first-time saver, seasons, saver, whatever it is, encouragement is very important. We always say we educate and motivate, and that encouragement is part of motivation of saying, hey, you've got this. We can get to our goals. We can do this. It's going to be hard work. It's going to be consistency of savings, but that needs to be, kind of instilled or taught from an advisor.
And finding an advisor that you can really trust and connect with makes a difference.
Yeah, and we're excited with Iron Tree because obviously you're going to be taking on that role in demographic because it's a passion of yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we talked about that even before you came on, is really emphasizing women in investing. And our listeners, subscribers, clients will notice that a lot of our material is going to be designed around that initiative to make sure that we're representing and that we're educating and bringing up that part of investing because it's very important. I know we were talking about some stats earlier. You've got some stats that off the top of your head, but let's delve into them a little bit and discuss kind of the biggest one, and that's like what percentage of women actually save, or what percentage of women are actually putting money away.
I know, and I read a study recently, and I saw that about 28% of men were dissatisfied with their savings, and then on the other half, 40% of women were dissatisfied. And just based on what they had available to them, right? To be able to save on top of paying for everything else and,
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of studies you'll find are all over the place when it comes to percentages, but there's one common trend, and that's that increasingly women are needing to step up in the role of finance within the house.
Yes.
Right. And it's not uncommon to find now stay-at-home dads that are helping to support the woman's career as well. And that's a change in dynamic for our entire culture.
Absolutely. Right. Because now in that scenario, if a woman's going to work, now she might be the sole contributor to their 401k. Right. And that's important. And how do we make sure they're set up right for their family dynamic?
Yeah, and the one thing we always insist on is that both spouses are on a meeting.
Exactly.
Because heaven forbid one passes away. It doesn't matter which one.
Yep.
Heaven forbid one passes away. The other needs to be confident within the plan.
Absolutely.
Because that's where a plan falls apart, ultimately. What is encouraging is just, in some of the numbers that we had talked about prior, is that younger generation, that Gen Z generation of women is really grasping onto this role of personal finance.
Yes. It's an exciting time, like even in just the difference from when I started in investing 10 years ago and to now, women are way more open to it and having the conversation with consistent savings.
Yeah,
right. It starts as little as $50, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you see numbers ranging from, women being like in the 40s to 50% affluent in investing to the Gen Z, where the most recent number I saw was 71%.
It's a huge jump. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing, and I think this format, this podcast format, this digital media format, the informal format, I think has helped with education a lot.
I think so too. It makes it scary. It could be, right, for younger generation or women specifically to go into these big buildings where you have to have a certain amount to even enter, right? And what questions you're asking. You just want to be educated. We just want to know what's going on.
Yeah, and I think being able to do it sometimes in the solace of your home and personally educate yourself.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to be careful. There's a lot of influencers that are just get rich quick or this or that a lot of people trend on social media. But from being able to do it in the convenience of your home, being able to do it at your own leisure, take your own notes, really educate yourself, I think this format has really bolstered that number personally, especially with the younger generation, right? Because Gen Z and millennials consume data differently.
Yeah, it's ease of access, right?
Yeah.
It's quickly going to listen to this 5 to 10 minute podcast because I wanted some information.
Yeah, well, hopefully they listen to our podcast a little bit longer than that because we have more quality value of information. But that's another thing to be said. So let's talk about kind of 4 or 5 points where women lag behind men in some of the investing nature and demographic nature.
Yeah.
You had talked about females being about 40%, males being about 28% dissatisfied with their investments in general, investment nature. What are some other areas that there's that discrepancy?
There's a huge one. It always comes down to, right, the pay gap, right? Women get 85% to a man's dollar.
Yeah, and when you
for the same job.
Yeah, and when you think about it, right, and it may be a lot of different factors that weave into it, but it is still a factor.
Yep.
We can't deny that there is a gap, and whatever the causes of the gap are, it's caused around the lifestyle of each spouse, right?
Yep.
That has been traditionally set,
exactly,
which is changing,
yep,
right? But that gap, I think we were talking a little bit earlier, that goes farther beyond that because of, as we were saying, products and services and stuff that cost women more. And a lot of people don't think about this, and I know I didn't until we were discussing it.
Yeah.
And the most simple in this example for our video people is hair, right?
Yep.
I mean, my hair is pretty easy to do. It's straightforward, buzz cut.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Your price is your price, right? You go in, you know what you're paying.
But for women, you're talking astronomically a different price.
Just because we're women.
I wouldn't even tend to guess what it costs you to have your hair done. But I'm sure it's more than $15, $20.
It's a couple. That's the tip.
Okay. But then you brought up the point too. It's other areas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Dry cleaning costs more just because it's a women's blouse versus a man's button-up shirt, right? It's just because we're used to living in a society, dominated by the males, right? And that's just how we've been this whole time. And now that we're here, we're very involved. To your point, sometimes there's dads that are stay-at-home dads now, and the moms are the main breadwinner. And we still have to function in society, so they just kind of slap a label on it like, oh, this is for women now. And because of that, we get that pink tax, quote unquote.
Yeah, that's a really rightful statement, right? You think of it, we were talking about razors, a pink razor versus a blue razor, maybe more money at a store. And a lot of that goes to the fact that companies have spent billions of dollars before you even enter a store to get you to open up your pocketbook or your wallet.
Right.
Right. And the psychology of money and spending goes a lot into that. And if you look at displays, if you look at the color of the font and the word sale and how it's designed, a lot of that is designed for the female buyer, specifically to, invoke emotion to buy something.
Absolutely.
Because endorphins are created when we buy stuff.
That's
no
right.
matter what you are.
Yeah,
right?
and if it's pretty in pink, I mean,
It could be pink. It could be a guy buying a chainsaw.
Sure.
You get endorphins when you buy stuff, and the industry knows that.
Yeah.
They've already spent $1 trillion or more, really centered around getting you to spend money.
Absolutely.
And more so, I think, geared towards women, kids as well, right? I mean, candy levels at the store,
Right.
toy levels at the store, things along that line. So I firmly believe that women also need to learn what those factors are that make them maybe spend more money in certain situations, because I think that's a really proper part of education on budgeting and finance.
It is.
And I think a lot of times that gets not taught or not brought up.
I feel like you're 100% right, Mark. It kind of gets lost in the weeds, right? We're just expected, right? You go to a store, your endorphins, right? Oh, I need this. I need to buy this. But really, at the end of the day, let's figure out that budget, right? Let's take a step back. Is that a need? Is that one product something that's actually going to be better for you?
Yep, exactly. And we're talking about where women are behind, but I think the encouraging part is where women are ahead in investing.
Yes.
And that's women tend to they're more responsible when it comes to investing.
Yeah.
They're a more logical investor. You're right. A lot of times the I guess you would say thought pattern is, men are more logical, women are more emotional. When it comes to investing, though, that really flips a lot.
It is interesting, even, within meeting with people, how decisive women are with their money. And when they make a decision and they understand something and we've had a collaborative conversation, they're much more comfortable to move forward and complete their goals, right? Reach their goals.
Yeah, and I think men are more apt in investing to take risks that don't necessarily pay off, because the emotion with money in men, I think, is stronger than women sometimes. Yeah. And it's not as logical, whereas a woman will make more logical choices when it comes to money. If it goes down, okay, why did it go down? Oh, I should add more.
Right.
Whereas a man might be more emotional. I don't want to lose everything. Let me go find something else that's going to be the grand slam, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely see that we're longer term planners, right? We can maybe see the vision sooner.
And also for a lot of women, having the background of being a stay-at-home parent, they know the budget more in depth.
By default, they're doing it.
Yeah, they're at the grocery store. They're seeing the prices every day.
Right.
They can tell the difference of, is that a deal for strawberries at $1.50 versus strawberries at $3.99?
Because they know the prices,
right? Because they're involved in that every day, and that does make for a better budgeter. A better saver of money, and then also obviously as the demographic changes in our colleges, it also funnels into women having higher paid careers, being able to be in the CE or executive role. We had Leanne Rummel come in, the head of our company for a woman in investing segment, and I don't know whether you would have had that 20 years ago.
I don't think so either. I think we've made groundbreaking paths that we've had to take. And it's funny you bring up college, right? Women actually hold 63% of the debt in their college save. Loans.
So there's a unique thing that needs to be planned out. So if you're a listener out there and you have a wife, you have a daughter, or you're a sole individual woman that's looking to invest, it's important that you attach yourself to an advisor and a firm that you're comfortable with.
First step. Absolutely.
Because if you're not comfortable with them, the plan, the process, how they engage you in education and communication, and that's any investor out there, but specifically for women, then you're less likely to complete that plan.
Yeah, agreed. And then we just end up in that same spot, paying more for things, earning less, right? Yeah. There's ways around it.
I mean, you've been in the industry for well over a decade. What are maybe some things that you see that women can latch on to a little bit more when it comes to savings, maybe some planning or concepts that you think are more important for women to hear, or that maybe are better suited being geared towards a woman in conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. So something I always kind of focus on, I want to make sure you're investing correctly with work, right? Step one, take advantage of those matches. Take advantage of negotiating your salary, right? You need to be an advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
And then, right, next step. Let's start a budget. Let's start a savings, right? Let's start investing. What does that look like? You got to dip your toe to really feel what it is. People have all these retirement accounts, but we don't really know what it is all the time, right? It's I don't know, they take money out of my paycheck, it goes over there.
Yeah.
I'll touch it when I'm 60s, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think sometimes too, there's procrastination because certain people want to know more about everything before they make the decision. And the one thing that I've said multiple times on our podcast is just save.
Yeah.
Right. Nike has their logo. Just do it.
Yep.
Right. And it's the perfect analogy for investing. It may just be a savings account, which may not be the most efficient for growth.
Right.
But because you saved, you have more money.
It's consistently starting a habit that you didn't have before.
Yep.
Right.
And even if it's just savings while you're trying to figure out where to put the money later, at least that concept of just getting in there and doing it. And you brought up a good factor, that you talked that women should really look at, and that's negotiation with an advisor and negotiation into retirement.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that? Like, what was your thought with that?
So really, it's right when you're getting a job, make sure that you're negotiating your salary first, right? Don't just accept, do some research, figure out what the average pay is for your demographic, for your area.
Yeah, and just fight for it.
Right, fight for yourself. Don't just accept what it is. Like I just told you, we're earning 85% to the dollar.
Yeah.
Fight for it. It's there.
Yeah, and I think that too lends in the interview process. I mean, I've interviewed and recruited numerous people over my career, and I think that just that confidence to step up and be able to do that sets you aside from any other person that's interviewing for the position.
Absolutely. And if you're strong enough, you're doing that, and then that is your next step, right? Your next step is, how do I start saving? How do I make this plan? The sooner that you start, the sooner that you're already on the path where you want to go.
Yeah.
Right? When we get very involved in life and children and everything, of course we still can plan for that, right? But starting from the beginning, it's with a basic budget, you're set.
And what are some advice or guidance that you would give to women for seeking out that right advisor? I mean, besides coming to Iron Tree for yourself,
of course.
What are some general rules of thumb, so to speak, or context that you could give some advice to our listeners about, if they're a woman looking for an advisor for the first time?
Yeah. For me, I come from a small town, and it was really important for me when I was new in this business to understand what they were talking about. Don't talk over me. I want to be educated. I want to understand what I'm doing. No, I don't need to know how the watch is made, right? But I need to understand it. Yep. And I think that's huge for a woman. If you meet with someone, male or female, right? Whoever you're comfortable with, but you need to understand what they're saying to you. The worst thing is when I meet with women specifically and they're like, oh, I met with someone else. I have no idea what they were doing or what I was invested in.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're having conversations, but you're not taking that extra layer to really dive deep and make sure this is your money. You need to know what we're doing with it, what you're doing with it.
Yeah, and then there goes the confidence out the door. If you don't understand it and you're not comfortable with it, there goes the confidence in investing.
You're not going to execute it.
And I mean, traditionally, if you don't have confidence in investing, you're not investing.
Right.
Right. Which then puts you way behind the eight ball.
And that's anything in life, right? If you don't understand it, are you going to dive in fully?
Yeah.
No.
Well, there was some weird factor that I can't remember the year it was, but within a certain number of years, there's about $30 trillion that women are going to manage.
No big deal.
No big deal. Just another couple commas, right? Just a couple commas in there. But that gives you the demographic of where finance and assets and money management are heading. Because women do live longer than men. Yeah.
And it's a huge opportunity for women, right, to become educated or find some, maybe you are investing and you feel good about it, but maybe there's more to this, right? Maybe you just haven't found that advisor that can really help get you to that next level.
Yeah, exactly. So any other main points you want to bring up on women in investing or things that we didn't go over to encourage women?
I would just say as a recap, just start early. There's never a bad time to start. If you think you're too late, you're not, right? We just got to jump in and kind of get going when you're ready. And even if you're not ready, that's just the start of a conversation.
Yeah, I would agree. And if you're a listener, a subscriber, and you want some direction, if you're a woman out there listening, like, hey, where do I turn to? I would recommend that you call into Iron Tree. You can find us at irontreefinancial.com. You can find us obviously at yourtimeyourmoney.net for all our episodes. You can reach us at 844-444-YTYM for Your Time, Your Money. And please request to sit down with Lauren or another one of our team members, we're more than capable to help you out with your needs, and we're excited to have Lauren on our team. So thank you so much for entering into the podcast room for your first session.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Nice. And as always, it's your time.
And your money.
All right, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Your Time, Your Money. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to share this with friends, family, coworkers, anyone else that you think might be interested. If you do have questions or topics, you can always email them to irontreefinancial@ceterais.com. Please follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Spotify, Google Play, and many other sources that were available. And you can reach us at 844-444-YTYM. And as always, it's your time and your money. Cetera Investors is the marketing name of Cetera Investment Services. Securities and insurance products are offered through Cetera Investment Services, LLC, member FINRA, SIPC. Advisory services are offered through Cetera Investment Advisors, LLC. Cetera is under separate ownership from any other named entity.